Hello, and welcome to the Be Intentional channel. Today, I want to talk about something that has been studied for centuries, and that is friendship. This topic is really important to me because just recently I've lost someone that was very, very, very near and dear to my heart. Someone who I have known since probably around 2012. We worked together actually. He was my boss. And we just connected. We went out and we just continued that rhythm for years until he recently passed. And one thing that I was able to really think about was the importance of friendship and what that means to me. What does that mean to humans, us in our life, and just what it brings and how it enriches us and how it just ingrains just this momentum of veritable things like sharing, caring, love, interaction, even some challenges, some little bumps in the road, but something that you are able to work out as you are continuing that and how to have the right conversation. There's another thing I want to talk about as it relates to friendship, and that is being able to choose the right person, being able to have the right people in your life, which I talk about in my book, Be Intentional, that you can get on Amazon. Be intentional, basically, in that chapter, which is chapter 2, the stop, drop, and roll. The drop, it has a lot to do with who's in your life, who's in your circle, who's feeding you, who's life giving and not life killing, and really you defining friendship for yourself. Now, there were times in my life that I was very close to people for X amount of years. And as years went on, as we matured, we moved, things changed, the relationship changed. And it changed in a way that I was able to recognize things that just weren't life giving for me anymore. It wasn't reciprocal. Or even after talking about it, it just didn't pan out to be something that was even worthy of my time. And so that, when it relates to relationship, is something that needs to be really, really considered and really thought about as you are sitting, thinking about things, thinking about people, thinking about who is in your nucleus of relationship and in your friendship. I had a conversation with a friend just the other day that I have not spoken to in a very long time. And it was such a joy to have a conversation and to catch up. And one of the questions that I was asked had to do with, are you taking care of yourself? Are you good? I really want to make sure you're good. Because as we get older, we really lose people that are very close to us. And how do we even handle that loss? What is that? What is the process of that? How do we even navigate that? And I'm still trying to navigate my dear friend and losing him, navigate what that's going to look like for me, even in flying back. Because I moved to Nebraska, he moved to Florida with his spouse. And although we're all wonderful, wonderful, wonderful friends, there are just things about certain people that when they're not there anymore, it just becomes a void, just like any other loss. And so the conversation with a friend that I haven't spoken to in a long time was just really, it was heartfelt. It was comforting to know that we, at the stage that we are in life, that we are really concerned about one another. And I really want to say that COVID kind of sparked that in a different light. When we weren't able to see each other, we weren't able to touch and laugh with one another in person and go out and eat. COVID kind of really started that momentum for me. And now in 2025, and looking at the older I get, the more I'm recognizing that I am going to lose more people. And heck, I don't even know how long I'm going to be here, to be quite honest with you. And so it's a thing where I sit and I think and I say, really what's important to me. My grandmother mentioned something. She mentioned something, I think I was in my 30s, and she talked about relationships. She talked about her friendships and how she would evaluate those friendships every year. And I think I talk about that in my book. And I didn't really understand it at the time because I just thought it was kind of harsh. I thought it was like, why would you do that? And why not talk to your friends if something is not right at the time? But she does this evaluating of her friendships at the end of every year because she says that when she steps into the new year, before that happens, she wants things to be clear. Wants people around her that are true and genuine for her. And that could be vice versa. I started doing that probably 10 years or 15 years later, started really paying attention to the people that I was around, the people that served me well. And that might sound harsh to people, but I know that me as an individual, as a person, how I really value relationships and how I value friendships. And I really take it to heart. I have such an integrity with that. I am so compassionate and passionate about that, that I don't want to continue to walk along this thing called life with any type of falsehood, with any type of I used to say, that's like that feeling that is inside of you that when you are around a particular person, that there's something that's not right, something that's unsettling, and something that you need to work out. See, if you're around someone like that you call a friend, I think you need to check it and you need to see really what that is and really have those hard conversations and the reaction from those conversations, how would that go? And depending on how that would go, decisions would need to be made. If it's something that's of value to you, if that relationship is that important, then and if that other friend or person deems it that important, then you all will work that out. If not, then you will know that that's someone that you need to drop and you need to move on. And so, in light of my dear friend's death, I have come to know that the friends that are in my life are very, we're close knit. It's purposeful. It's life giving. It's refreshing, and some of my closest friends, and I don't have a lot of them, is like family. And even with that, you have to work out how your flow is going to go and what your expectations are. I have expectations with friendships. I talk things out. I talk things through. I remember I did as an exercise in my book. It's called the Johari Window. Get the book. You'll see what that's about, or you can look it up. But it's a part of. It's like a four windows, and one of the windows has to do with what others know about you that you don't know about yourself, and it's basically how you see yourself, how others see you. And I did the exercise where I had some close friends tell me about myself, write some stuff out, and then I met with them and we talked about it. And it was really hard to hear certain things because I know that I'm a person that, as I give out, I know I'm giving out genuinely, and I know I'm giving out raw, and I know I'm giving out my truth, and I know that I am like a 250% supporter of my friends. And so some things were just hard to hear that it was hard for me to accept. But because that running theme was with family and friends, because I think it was around maybe 6 to 8 people that I use, and it was the same thing with everybody. Everybody can't be lying, right? And so it was one of those things that I had to really sit back and I had to say, okay, Christy, you got to do the work to fix this, because everybody that you went to are people that you really value in your life and people that you really want in your life. And so I did that. I did the work, and it's so much better now because I had to give permission for them to check me sometimes. If I'm saying something, if I'm doing something that's not particularly how it should be, then you need to check me. So that's one of the things that I want to share, and I want you all to think about as you're thinking about relationship, specifically friendship is what I'm talking about, and who's in your life, and why are they in your life, and what are those characteristics that you like, and what are some things that you kind of want to talk through. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to have conversations with those that you deem to be your close and dear friend, because it's so worth it. It's so worth it to have the conversation of, this is what I don't like. Or we were out the other day and I just didn't appreciate how you said X, Y, and Z. Now, I do know that there's a thing that, if you're good friends, you know each other and you can ebb and flow in a certain way. But like I said, as we grow, as we mature, things change. And sometimes we allow people and their behavior to be under the auspices or under this whole thing of, yeah, well, that's just how she is, or that's just how he is. No, that doesn't mean it's acceptable. And so I challenge you, or I encourage you, that if you're feeling that, like that inside, that little knot of something that's just not, you just can't figure out what that is, then it's worth having a conversation. And if that person is not one that serves you well, is not one that's your rah-rah cheerleader, or challenges you in a positive way for you to be better for the greater good, then there's other conversations that need to be had. So those are the things that I kind of wanted to share as it relates to friendship, because I feel that time is short. I feel that nobody knows when their end will be. I feel that each second is worth having something that's worthwhile. Each minute, each hour, week, month, year. And to assess the relationship, to celebrate the relationship, to give those compliments, to give those joys, and I really appreciate you. I really love you. I really thank you. I remember when, and I see how we are now, and it's just a wonderful thing. And so, please check it. Check those boxes of friendship. See what it is you need. See what it is you want. Reevaluate it. Make some changes. Or just give some celebratory moments. In whatever it is that you do as it relates to friendship, hold on to it. Let the person know that you love them. Let the person know that you appreciate them. Let the person know that they got this. Let that person know that they're talented, they're gifted, they're beautiful. Let the person know that it's something about them that brings you joy. That's friendship. And so, as I continue my days in mourning, as I continue my days in trying to wrap around in my head that my friend is no longer here, and I will say this is probably the closest friend that I have lost in my life. And so for me, this is new territory. For me, this is something that I have to figure out. But one thing I could say is that we had some wonderful memories, and not all the time did we agree, but we can agree to disagree, and we respected each other's position, and we can still move on. We can still laugh. We can still, have those like friendship moments where, you're doing one of these on the side. It's just a wonderful thing. And if you've been hurt by relationships, which I have, been hurt by friendships that you deemed important, then learn from it. Be aware, recognize the fact of what that hurt was, but also know that you're going to be okay. And also know that with that relationship, it served you for the time that it did. Um, and you know, when you go through in hindsight and you think about it, you can probably think about it and see if there were any signs along the way that you just did not notice, or you just didn't acknowledge, or you just allowed to just flutter through and didn't bring any correction to it and just said, this is just how they are. Yeah, those are the things. Those are the things. But know that, especially if you're going through something hard now from a failed friendship or betrayal, anything like that, that there is a brighter tomorrow. That you will heal, that time can be your friend, but also take note, journal it down, get it all out, talk to a therapist, talk to another friend that you value and that's a confidant. But do work through it, because I believe that even in the worst of things in a failed relationship, there is so much to learn from it, and it grows you and it makes you heighten in a good way, not paranoid, but it makes you heighten in a good way, that you don't repeat whatever that was that you held on to that just was not healthy for you. That's all I got. That's all I wanted to share with you all on with this weekly conversation. And so I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, rest of the week, and I will see you next week. Friendship. Until.